These are Singapore's most haunted places. Former Brunei Hostel. This place is haunted by no one knows the story behind it. In the early 50s, Brunei sent over some of its brightest students to make up for its lack of a proper education system back home. The Tanglin Brunei Hostel was built to house these students, as well as government officials on training programs. In its heyday, the hostel hosted sports events and festivals, but was closed in 1983 after Brunei set up its own education infrastructure back home. Today, the hostel is abandoned and in disrepair, making it a favorite haunt of paranormal seekers in Singapore. The abandoned hostel is located at the end of Tanglin Hill. There is a no trespassing sign at its gates, which tells you all you need to know. Spooner Road. This place is haunted by disturbances, weird unexplained sounds and sightings in the flats, darting shadows, the list goes on. The story behind it. The HDB blocks at Spooner Road are some of the oldest in Singapore. The few blocks were built in the mid-1970s and were formerly used as the quarters to house personnel of the staff and families who worked at the nearby, now defunct, Tanjong Pagar railway station. The flats were left empty for years when operations ceased at the railway station, but are currently used as the rental apartments for low-income residents. There have been many stories from residents and explorers about the eerie things they experienced at Spooner Road. Spooner Road is quite easily accessible from Kampong Baru Road in Tanjong Pagar or by rail corridor. Do note that residents are living there, so be respectful of their space. Sungai Api-Api and Pasir Ris Park. This place is haunted by a band of mischievous Pontianaks. The story behind it. While there is no macabre history in Pasir Ris Park, there are rumors that Sungai Api-Api is infamous for being a place where murders and suicides have occurred. Other stories include the area to be where black magic was practiced in the past because it used to be heavily forested. Sungai Api-Api is now part of a park connector and is a popular jogging spot and one of the many entrances to Pasir Ris Park. Jog at your own risk, especially if it's going to be late at night. Nee Soon Rubber Estate. This place is haunted by Pontianaks, waiting on residents' balconies and doorsteps, calling out to those fishing at the canal or starting at people crossing through Sembawang Park. The story behind it. Sembawang is where the Nee Soon Rubber Estate used to sit. That's a whole field of rubber trees, which are known to be the favored residence of these restless female vampire ghosts. They sure love those trees. Their spirits apparently still remain, even though the estate has since been cleared to make way to flats and industrial buildings. The rubber plantation covered a vast area around Yishun, Sembawang, and Selatar, but your best bet is to take a night walk in Sembawang Park if you dare. Pulau Tekong. This place is haunted by, among many others, the ghost of a disemboweled recruit, a white long-haired figure of Jacob's ladder and a grandma and grandson duo who wander the banks at night to disturb sleepless recruits. The story behind it. There's no saying if the ghost stories have roots in the early history of the island when it was inhabited by a majority Chinese population, or if they sprang up after Tekong was taken over for military use. But these spooky stories have been something of a rite of passage for fresh recruits. Just ask anyone who's gone through national service and they'll have a tale or 10 to tell you about Tekong. Fall-in recruits, there's no escaping this one. The rest of us might have the chance to visit if we're sending a family member off the basic military training. Old Tampines Road. This place is haunted by Pontianaks. Yep, more than one apparently. The vengeful spirits of women who have died during their pregnancy or childbirth that continue to linger in the area. The story behind it. Well, there is no official recorded history. As with most ghost stories, many riders and cyclists have said to feel extra weight when passing through the long and quiet stretch late at night. On top of that, there is always a sweet, floral scent lingering in the air during these incidents. The road has been upgraded and a lot of spooky trees have been cut down, but you can cruise through at 2 a.m. if you dare. Matilda House. This place is haunted by no one actually knows. There were rumors that there was a lady with long hair in the trees in the surrounding area, and that some workers actually died while working at Matilda House. The story behind it. Matilda House was built in 1902 by Irish lawyer Alexander Cashin for his wife and was named after his mother. The house stayed in the Cashin family for a while until it was left abandoned before the government acquired it. Legend has it that the house refused to be demolished, with stories saying unexplained forces would always get in the way of tearing down the house or any major renovations. In the end, Matilda House was incorporated as the clubhouse of a private condominium in Punggol. We haven't heard any spooky stories yet. Every Singapore school. Haunted. This place is haunted by spirits of girls who committed suicides in toilets. Shadowy figures, especially in the design and technology block. Pontianaks with a penchant for education. The story behind it. There really is no science behind it, but every school in Singapore seems to have its own spooky stories. Just ask your friends about their own school horror stories, and you'll notice there will be some parallels. You won't walk into someone else's workplace, so don't be dropping by other people's schools. National Museum of Singapore. This place is haunted by wandering spirit of former museum director, British doctor and naturalist Carl Alexander Gibson Hill, whose death was regarded as suicide. The story behind it. We don't know the exact tale, but many have claimed to have seen and felt unnatural forces at the notorious Victorian-style spiral staircase, which has a reputation for being the most haunted spot in the century-old museum. Visit the museum all you want, but the staircase are closed off to visitors. We wonder why. Bedok Reservoir. This place is haunted by the restless souls that took their lives at this infamous reservoir. The story behind it, considered a suicide destination, Bedok Reservoir has met 6 suicides between 2011 to 2012, where the 6th body was found on the morning of an interreligious blessing ceremony. The blessing ceremony was organized to rid the evil that surrounds the area. Still a popular jogging spot with a bunch of suicides to its name. Kubur Kassim. This place is haunted by the Orang Bunyan, a supernatural human-like creature from Malay folklore. It's also said that a Pontianak resides here and was the inspiration behind the Malay classic film Pontianak. The story behind it, if the name doesn't strike you as uncanny, get this, Siglap literally means the Dark One, aptly named after an incident that involved a solar eclipse in 1821. The quaint neighborhood has a dark, creepy past and is home to Kubur Kassim, a 90-year-old Malay cemetery, and if you look hard enough, you'll be able to spot grave plots dedicated to the Orang Bunyan. We recommend sticking to visiting hours. Sentosa Island. This place is haunted by the ghostly soldiers that are seen at quieter spots on the island. The story behind it, Sentosa was formerly known as Pulau Belakang Mati, which translates to Back Island of Death. Many executions took place on the island's pristine beaches during World War II, when Singapore was under the Japanese occupation, which explains the sightings. It is the state of fun, so how can we resist? Woodneuk House. This place is haunted by creepy sightings that include random shadows, spirits, poltergeist, and even phantom scents. The story behind it, previously known as Istana Woodneuk, this now abandoned house is located in the deep woods of the Holland Road and Tiersal Road area. It was once occupied by a Sultan of Johor, but now remains empty and covered in vegetation and decay. What's creepier is the fact that the spot is now charted on the map of Singapore and is, therefore, out of bounds. Unless you've got stellar hunting skills, of course. Don't do it. The house is state property, and you can and will be caught for trespassing. Old Changi Hospital. This place is haunted by the restless souls of those who were tortured to death or executed by the Japanese during World War II, as well as a security guard who used to work there. The story behind it, used by the Kempai Tai or Japanese military police to hold more than 50,000 Allied prisoners of war, and as a torture chamber during the Japanese occupation. It was vacated in 1997, 4 decades after it was first built, when the new Changi General Hospital was opened. The abandoned building still stands and occasional ghost tours are held there, which has added to its reputation of being one of the spookiest places in Singapore. Don't get caught for trespassing, but you can still observe from afar or from Rainter 33 Hotel, which used to be part of the hospital. Amber Beacon. East Coast Park. This place is haunted by the restless spirits of a young woman who was supposedly raped and murdered there, still lingers on the steps of the spiral staircase. The story behind it. A local couple was stabbed by two unknown assailants while chatting on the steps of the tower in 1992. The woman, then only 21, died before the police arrived, although there were no evidence to suggest that she was raped. The murder remains unsolved to this day. The tower is still there if you want to check it out. Bukit Brown Cemetery. This place is haunted by, you guessed it, Pontianaks, Singapore's favorite female spirit. The story behind it. Bukit Brown Cemetery, otherwise known as Kopi Suwa, is one of the oldest Chinese cemeteries in Singapore and is home to over 100,000 tombs. So it makes sense that this place will give you the heebie-jeebies. Overgrown and hidden, it's not easy to get the most parts of Bukit Brown. If you're game, download the self-guided trail from Singapore Heritage Society and get exploring. Tiew Estate. This place is haunted by a Pontianak, again, a spirit of a banana tree, one of the scarier supernatural beings in Malay folklore, who has been trapped there since a gambler refused to remove the 7 pins placed in the tree to coerce it into helping him with the lottery. The story behind it. Named after the businessman who helped develop the Lim Chu Kang area in the early 20th century, the abandoned estate, comprising a trio of 3-story blocks, a wet market, and a playground, was built in 1979 and is currently used to urban warfare training by the Singapore Armed Forces after being sold en bloc in 2002. The area is now restricted, but you can still look at it from afar. Still creepy, I admit. Sionan Jinja. This place is haunted by the spirits of the Japanese soldiers who committed mass ritual suicide via seppuku, which means literally belly cutting, to preserve the shrine's sanctity. The story behind it. Built in 1942 by British prisoners of war and Japanese soldiers, the shrine was dedicated to the Shinto sun goddess Amaterasu and used to commemorate fallen Japanese soldiers. It was demolished following the Japanese Imperial Army's surrender, but legends persist that a massive treasure, most popularly believed to be the fabled Yamashita's gold, plundered during the Southeast Asian campaign, remains hidden there. This area is also closed off to the public now. Bishan MRT. This place is haunted by phantom passengers who do not cast any reflections on the windows, and according to construction workers who built the station, a funeral procession on the train tracks with a headless ghost. The story behind it. The station and the surrounding housing estates were built on the site of the former Quang Wai Siao Pek San Teng, one of the largest Chinese cemeteries in Singapore, before it was exhumed in 1982. Some of us go through the station every day, don't you think? Haw Par Villa. This place is haunted as if they weren't scary enough during the day. The wax statues depicting condemned souls are said to come to life at night, filling the infamous 10 courts of hell exhibit with tortured screams. The story behind it. The Burmese Ao brothers, who made their fortune selling the tiger balm heat rub, lent their first names Haw, which means tiger, and Pao, which means leopard, to the theme park where children could learn about traditional Chinese meats through the vivid wax dioramas. It's truly one of the more bizarre corners of the island. No wonder people think it's haunted. It's still a popular and interesting place to visit if you like exploring offbeat Singapore. The Devil's Bend at Old Upper Thompson Road. This place is haunted by the spirits of drivers who were killed while trying to navigate this tricky hairpin bend. The story behind it. Part of the race routes of the original Singapore Grand Prix, which was held from 1961 to 1974 until it was discontinued due to its high fatality rate. The poorly lit stretch is still a favorite haunt for illegal street racers and thrill seekers. The most recent accident claimed the lives of 2 passengers when the car they were traveling in plunged into a ditch in 2008. Sure, you can drive through the area, but please be alert and careful. Novena MRT. This place is haunted by numerous sightings of headless apparitions have been reported at the underpass linking it to the Inland Revenue Authority of Singapore building. The story behind it. Another MRT station built on the grounds of a former cemetery. In this case, its history is tied to its name, which originated with the weekly Catholic novena prayer sessions held at the nearby Church of St. Alphonsus, also known as the Novena Church. It was used as a Jewish cemetery until its exhumation in 1985. Ride all you want through this station. Ride all you want. Changi Beach. Changi Beach. This place is haunted by the screams and cries for help of the civilians executed by Japanese soldiers during World War II. Sorry about that. This place is haunted by the screams and cries for help of the civilians executed by the Japanese soldiers during World War II. The story behind it. In one of the first massacres carried out during the infamous Suk Ching operation, or literally cleansing purge in Mandarin, 66 Chinese men were executed by firing squads at the water's edge on February the 20th, 1942. A popular spot for families, the picnic crowds, and just to chill out. There are several beach areas to hit and parking lots if you're driving. Hillview Mansion. There's tons of conspiracy theories behind this haunted estate. One of them is the mistress who used to stay in this house. The story behind it. It was said she died from a fall off the unfinished balcony while she was viewing the construction's progress. Over the years, those who wandered into the property have claimed to hear sounds of a lady weeping at night. The mansion was ordered to be demolished in 2006, but a landslide hit the area in the same year. Stabilization works were attempted on the land, but another landslide hit in the same year, burying parts of Hillview Mansion. Located at Bukit, Hillview Mansion can be found at the end of Jalan Dermawan. Caldecott Hill. This place is haunted. Ask the MediaCorp staff, and they have plenty of horror stories to share. The place is haunted by various spirits lingering in the area. The story behind it. It is no secret that this former MediaCorp headquarters is spooky. Staff there have reportedly seen disembodied heads looking through windows and spirits messing with the costumes. The staff there have mentioned that they worry about accidental bringing a spirit home. The story behind how the spirits got there is unknown. Located along Thompson Road, you can get there via public transportation. The area is currently waiting for future development. Yishun Dam. This place is haunted by headless ghosts and a faceless lady with long hair. The story behind it. While it is a great place to chill with friends at night, this place has an eerie history behind it. The area is known as a site for mass beheadings during the Japanese occupation, which explains the sightings of headless ghosts around. Many have also spotted a faceless lady with long hair. She usually disturbs unsuspecting anglers there. Most drive to Yishun Dam, but you can get there easily by public transport. Take bus 117 or 103 and alight just before Shell Aviation. Jalan Mempurong. This place is haunted by multiple spirits apparently. Some people even spotted a Pontianak, again, flying in this area. The story behind it. Lost souls of people who were forced to leave the fishing village are believed to be haunting the area. Also, local shamans are said to release dark entities that they have caught. These spirits that dwell are aggressive and known to inflict harm, so visit at your own risk. Pass the residential blocks near Admiralty Road and you'll be greeted with a small lane that trails into a bend. Follow the narrow road and you'll find yourself at Jalan Mempurong. Lim Chu Kang Road. This place is haunted by lingering spirits here because of the cemeteries nearby. The story behind it. A brutal murder is said to have taken place here back in 2016. However, the body of the female victim was never found. Only clumps of hair, burnt fabric, and a burned mark have been discovered. It is said that the burn mark can still be seen today, and also you wouldn't want to wait here alone at night. Lonely and eerily quiet, This road tends to be deserted on most nights. There have been multiple accounts of taxi drivers picking up spirits that appear as humans, which vanish when they step out of the vehicle. Drivers have also claimed to have seen spirits lingering at the bus stop or crossing the roads. There's also a sinister atmosphere, adding to the uneasiness you feel in the area. It starts at the junction of Sungay Gedong Road and ends at the junction of Ama Keng Road. I pray these lingering lost souls will finally find their peace. These are the most haunted places in Singapore.